Good morning and hello, beautiful people, for whoever's watching this around the globe and locally. Today, we've got my bestie and spiritual rebel, Emma.
Stawicki.
First of all, thank you for tapping in and watching this episode, because I just had a brain fart. I'm sorry, but I had a brain fart. And I'm actually going to share this so you can have a bit of a giggle too. But I don't want this to be perfect. There's going to be swearing, laughing. We'll go off tangent. Emma and I do tend to have 10 conversations in one conversation, then we come back. And I think that's a woman's thing. So for those that are listening, thank you so much. And just if you want to tap in and just press the subscribe button. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Pretty good this morning, actually. I'm glad the rain has kind of subsided. The sun's out. So, it's a Wednesday. Happy hump day.
Happy hump day. And it's beautiful to have that sun. I mean, it's amazing how much we actually need the sun. We actually need the sun, don't we?
Yeah. How it affects your mood actually sometimes. You know what I mean? When it's rainy, and over the weekend when it was like super rainy, I was kind of like, oh, I've got no motivation, don't feel like doing anything.
And I think sometimes those days are like, hey, it's not an excuse, but it's like, oh, it's raining outside. Well, today's topic is going to be really, really juicy, as all our topics. And I think we're going to talk about the mind, we're going to talk about the ego and heart coherence and how everything is connected. But I suppose the listeners are wanting to know we might as well go straight into it. How can we get out of our mind and back into our heart space?
Good question. And I think there's a lot of ways that we can do that, right? There's a lot of ways that work for different people. And I think that's important to remember. I always have this thought, and it is actually heart-brain coherence, right? Where anything that's in the mind, if we can take a moment to bring that thought into the heart and say, what would the heart want to actually say about what the mind is thinking? So maybe that's looking at something from, if the mind is talking about something from a place of fear, then how can we look at that thing from the heart, from a place of love? So same scenario, but looking from a place of fear, which generally a lot of the time our mind wants to give us the fear base, like the worst case scenario, right? But the heart, if we can bring that same scenario in and look at it from a place of love, and if I can look at this from a place of love or learning, what is it that I would need to know about what I'm thinking in a different perspective, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And it does come back to, so people are probably wondering, well, how do I connect with that heart space? And even when I go through the meditations or the activations, I'm on repeat about coming back to our heart space, because it's that feeling of free, joy, compassion, love for either an animal or a person. And if we can fall in love with that space in our heart, when we do go active in our mind, we can always try to slow it down and bring it back into our heart space. And I think because people are running on, fight and flight or freeze mode or whatever the case may be, it's always about taking that time out, whether it's 1 minute or even 30 seconds. And it's holding accountability when we're in that moment and going, oh my gosh, there's so much going on, my mind. And we all do it. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on at the moment. I can't keep up. There's so much I need to do and I can't keep up. I'm just so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So when we're feeling like this, I connect with Source every single day. I do. I have a relationship with them. But for those that are wanting to maybe go, I need to learn or practice something, meditation or grounding your feet or something that can, because the mind is always going to be active, isn't it? Like the mind's always going to be active.
Yeah.
We can either be friends with it and train it into our heart coherence and coming back into heart, or we can just keep racing and going with those racing thoughts.
It's spiraling, isn't it? That's what like the society terminology is, isn't it? Like we get so overwhelmed and then we spiral. Like you hear it all the time. Oh my God, like I'm spiraling. Like what does that actually mean? It's just a terminology you're using that your brain's overloaded, and it's asking you to come back to self, back to ground, because you're too in the mind. Like we need the mind, right? We need the mind because obviously it's the thing that keeps us safe. But I think when you mentioned like the things that you can do, sometimes it can just be simply is stopping your feet and taking a breath, right? Because a lot of people hear like meditation and this, and it's like, I can't do that, or I don't have time, or I can't meditate. But even if we can just in that moment put our hand on our heart and take a breath and just go, I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed at the moment. I'm just going to pause. And even that simple pause, I think, can ground you enough in that moment if you can't do anything else, right? If you can't do anything else, it's something that people can remember. People can remember, like, oh, what do I need to do? Because I think the hardest thing when we're overwhelmed or spiraling or all the things is we forget the thing that we need to do because we're too overwhelmed. I really like to think about it like, if we're working on our main 7 chakras, our heart is the center. It's the middle chakra of the 7. But also, like I believe, and probably maybe you as well, is where your source is as well. That's, where the soul essence of you is within that space as well, within your heart space. Your soul resides, in the center of you, if that's how you want a visual of that. And that's your heart chakra, isn't it? That's the place that if we can come back there with those thoughts and give those thoughts some love, then we don't change the situation, but we change the point of view of how we're looking at a situation. And that's kind of that a bit like that glass half full, glass half empty, analogy.
I'd have to agree with that one. So it's just whatever we're thinking about at that particular time, the thought is always going to be there no matter what. So we can dive into it and we can acknowledge it to see if it's a trigger, if it's anything if it's an uncomfortable feeling, we can look into that to find out what is actually going on. And majority of the time, because we're so busy caught up in our heads, all we need to do, as you're saying, Em, is take it back a step. It's 30 seconds to ground and connect into your body, plant your feet on the ground, connecting with Gaia, and just go and breathe.
Yeah. Do you think, like I think about this analogy, right, is, the sense of control is an illusion, right? We literally do not have any control of anything, but the one thing that we can control is our breath.
And our thoughts, exactly.
And even then, I guess people think they can't control their thoughts, right? Some people think that it's not possible to do that. But the breath, 100%, we can hold our breath, we can breathe out, we can shallow breathe, we can long breathe, we can bring the awareness to the breath, and we can train the brain.
That's correct.
To like, anyway, it was on the TV and it came up the other day and she was like, I'm a very intricate young woman and I have neuroplasticity on my side. So I can literally shape how I think, right? And it was an amazing interview. If you've never seen it, like how she articulates herself. And she's like, I can literally train my brain to think anything. And I think that it was really interesting to see like a young woman talk about that because, it's just getting new neural pathways, right? It's strengthening anything that we do, whether it's riding a bike, learning to drive a car, it's repetition in the craft that we want to do. So if you're someone that, maybe a lot of the time it has been trained or conditioned to look at the worst case scenario, because let's be honest, a lot of that conditioning is developmental through, you know, our caregivers and all of that kind of thing as well, is that we can choose to retrain our brain to have different beliefs.
Some people call it a new paradigm, a new world, a new
Earth, yeah.
A new earth, whatever you want to call it. So we all have choices, and that's what it comes down to. And a lot of people are getting divided, because for the ones that are wanting to do the work. Now, for the listeners out there, we're not saying that the work's going to be fucking easy, because it's not. Okay, life is hard. We're born into this space, into this human, into who we are, to learn these opportunity and lessons and for growth. And for those that are choosing to not evolve with the rest of us, that the world is already being divided. Okay, that happened it's been happening for years, but you could really see the divinity, the last 12 months. And Emma and I have been speaking about this, like whether you're leaving friends, whether you're leaving a new job, whether you're going to a new practice, whether you're making that choice of holding accountability. And this is what it comes back to. If we can hold accountability for the way we are feeling and thinking, and then connect it into our mind and know and figure out the difference of what the mind is talking about, and coming back into that heart space and figuring the two out and find that balance, it won't be so hard for people coming into this space, because all the old beliefs is gone. It's gone. It's now. How can we learn from this? What that trigger that is coming out, what is it showing me? What is that learning opportunity? How can I gain new growth, this new version, this new chapter, whatever the case may be?
Triggers are teachers, right? You know, and I didn't really understand that. You know, I was, I guess, someone who was conditioned or raised to kind of believe like everything is, you know, someone's fault, or it's like it's a big thing. These things always happen to me, and it's almost like you can create your own reality from your belief system. And when I really realized that and started to get curious and dig a bit more, you know, why has that, like, why is that person pissed me off? You know, like that's what it'd be like. Why? It's like a trigger. Everything's a trigger. That triggers me. That triggers me. Well, what fucking triggers you? What is the thing? And maybe it's someone disagrees with you, and maybe someone is being mean to you, or maybe the girl in the coffee shop didn't like greet you nicely this morning, and all of a sudden you have these thoughts about it. Well, what's her problem? You know, often what happens is we make a lot of things about ourselves that actually has got nothing to do with us. You know, the girl in the coffee shop, maybe, you know, maybe her dog's sick, you know, maybe she's had to come to work and her puppy's at home and is sick. Maybe, you know, her grandma got took into hospital last night. You don't know everyone's story. And I think if you can bring some kind of thought where immediately like, what's her problem, and bring that thought into the heart space and say, you know, I wonder if she's okay. Like, you know, she doesn't seem herself today. Maybe it's someone you know or whatever. And then maybe you can find a kind thought, right, for that person. And that doesn't mean we agree with how someone might treat us. Like, acknowledgement and agreeing are two different things, but we can acknowledge that maybe there's something going on with them that we don't know about. Same for ourselves, right?
I think that's a beautiful analogy. And I'm going to add to that even too, like, if humans, us, with the old way, we did looked at that victim mentality and we did blame. But as you were saying, if we turn that into ourselves and put that energy into ourselves and got selfish, really at that person at the coffee shop, you would be like a 2-year-old, fully tapped in and aware, knowing that she's not having a good day and something is wrong with her dog, and that it's not you. That's a her thing, but it's our choice whether we want to pick that up or not. And that's exactly what we're saying at the moment. We have choices now, and it's a beautiful enlightenment. Like, we're going through one of the biggest evolutions on in the world at the moment. And with the old way and the new way, it is simply a choice. Everything is a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the other thing that we have to remember is not everybody is going to choose either. That, right? Not everybody is going to choose, and often we want to bring people with us, so we want to convince them. Like, I know that, I guess when I kind of started on this really deep dive journey, I was very much like trying to, I don't know, like, what's the word, not reprogram, but try and like say things to my mom about, but you could look at it this way, or you could, maybe this, right? But what I had to realize is that it's not my job to see, for other people to see the enlightenment. Like, it has to be their journey as well. Maybe their soul didn't choose that in this lifetime. Maybe their soul chose that paradigm because there was learning that they needed to do in that paradigm, and they're not meant to either.
Exactly. And that's where we're all getting divided at the moment. So people, like, for the listeners out there, you may be going through a cull of friends. You may be going through a cull in your whole house. You may be going through a whole cull of life. And just knowing that you're exactly where you need to be at this present moment. And if you can allow yourself to stand in this space and go that everything's okay, I'm exactly where I need to be at this moment, you will find over those few days of once you're accepting that, whether you're choosing it or not choosing it, you will see by that decision of sitting with it, acknowledge it, how fast things will unravel or unroll into where you want to go in your direction. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are making sense, but we might have to make it a little bit sort of clearer. What would that look like in real time? Is that when something maybe happens, we sit with it and we get curious? Like, I always use the terminology of the biggest two things that I learned on this journey was like, when something happens is the pause, and then I go, oh, that's interesting, right?
Like doing nothing on it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So just observing, oh, how did I react to that? My body just actually had a reaction to that. That's interesting. And then the second thing is getting curious. What is actually coming up for me right now when that just happened? So if we go back to the coffee shop analogy, right? So someone maybe isn't very nice at the coffee shop, or there's a loud noise that's triggered me and I felt it in my body, is just pausing and going, that is interesting. Because then we can get curious to what actually is coming up, or what is the thing, the trigger, because it's not normally the thing that you think it is.
Exactly. It can be something completely different. Sometimes it can be just a random thing that just pops up. And from that person making that loud noise in the coffee shop, there's something could come up and just go, oh, wow. And I tell my clients all the time, look at life like a 2-year-old, have nothing on it. Like, do not put, I'm not big for judgments or making opinions or whatever the case may be. I've always looked at things with eyes wide open. And just my favorite wording has been for the last few years is interesting, because everything is interesting.
Can I share a personal story with you?
Absolutely.
This? And I've actually never talked about this publicly, but like, my husband and I have been together for quite a long time. I think it's our wedding anniversary this month. 23 years. We've been together probably 27 years.
Congratulations.
And the two of us, obviously, we've gone through a lot of times we've got to walk away. Me, probably not him. But anyway, that's for another podcast. But no, it don't get me wrong, it hasn't been easy. We've had our times, but the one thing about us is we never actually fight, not fight, argue. So I actually grew up in a household that was very volatile with fighting. Okay. So the one thing that I can't have is that. And we've never been like that. Yes, we've had our times where we have, right? But most of the time we can have a conversation with each other and, rectify whatever happens. So our household is very low in anything like that, right? Conflict. And I've purposely made it that way because of my upbringing. But we had one thing that was always a trigger. So whenever my husband, because he's not hands-on, right? He's not handy. Like he'll say it himself, he's not a handyman, right? I'm probably the handy woman. So anytime that we would have a situation where, say, something needed to be put together, or we had to build something, which, when the kids were little, was normally freaking Christmas Eve in the dark, putting swing sets together and all that crap, there would be this like friction between us, right? It was like we couldn't communicate. We actually spoke a different language. It was like our dynamic of our relationship would completely change if something needed to be constructed, right? And he would start to get really angry. Now I don't see him like that. He's not a person that is angry, right? So, but those kind of things would bring that out in him. And then it would trigger me to sort of divert him, and I would kind of take over what was happening because I could see that he was getting really tense. I could see like he would start to say a swear, and that's not him either. So I would kind of try and intervene, and then he would blow up and be like, you think I'm useless? You think I can't do this? Like you always take over, right? This was a pattern, our whole relationship. Anytime that we had to put something together, that would be how it would play out. So probably around about 4 years ago, my son got a basketball hoop, right? And it needed putting together. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is just, all right, okay, brace for it. So I just removed myself. I'm going to go in the house. I'm not going to interfere. I'm not going to do anything. I can hear him outside, and I'm sitting inside and breathing, right? He's outside. And then as I was sitting, trying to regulate myself, listening, I had this like flood of memory of what the trigger was. And the trigger was that at this time I was sitting inside. I couldn't see what was happening outside, but as a young girl, I would have to sit on the stairs with my brother while I could hear the fighting going on downstairs, noise happening, sometimes things getting kind of thrown around. I couldn't see what was happening, but I was protecting my brother, and I was sitting with him, like covering his ears. And I had a flashback of this whole memory of what that was, it was that memory, which probably goes back and back and back, right? Probably it's even mine, it's probably back generations, then came and showed me what the trigger was. So it was never about that. It was about what was playing out for me in my unconscious when he started to get like angry, because my body kept the score. It remembered. But guess what happened? I actually then spoke to him about that, brought the shadow out to the light, which I was literally talking to my students about yesterday when we were doing some inner child work in my class, brought the shadow out to light. I explained it to him and I said, oh my God, I have realized what this is and how this is playing out. And then guess what? It never happened again.
Wow.
It never happened again. We held that for like 20 odd years. That would be the same scenario. But because I sat with it at that time and said what's coming up, and then realized what the trigger was happening to my body, because my body would physically react to the tension, and then sat with it and then brought it to light and shared with him and said, I've realized why I do what I do. I realize why I cut you off, because my body is trying to protect itself. And it was so fucking interesting. And then never again did it happen. And honestly, we just did it, and there was no issues whatsoever. So it's like, when we bring that, I guess why I'm sharing that, and I don't know why that came up for me to share, but I feel like someone needs to hear that.
Thank you for sharing.
Like, bringing and getting curious, right? What is it that is coming up when this scenario is playing out for me, when this is not our dynamic, there's something else at play here. Being able to actually bring that out, also share it with him, so transmute it, right? Because we've given it light, we've recognized it, we've said, hey, I see you, that's okay, I don't need you to protect me anymore, I'm good, meant that we just literally cleared the pattern. Crazy.
Isn't it crazy that when we're ready, or as you said, when we're curious, that's when the answers come. That's when the downloads, that's where the messages, that's where the lessons come in, whether it's someone on the road or a conversation that you had with your husband, or that memory of what happened when you were growing up. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And I think as well, creating a little bit of time for ourselves to do that as women, let's be honest. And even if you're listening and you're a man, right? Men are like, oh, that's like, you know, generally most of the time, like put the footy on or whatever, right? But, you know, if we can just create a little bit of time to just connect back with ourselves, I think that's the biggest thing that we have missed, that's been missing for a long time, that's starting to really come back. Knowing self, knowing what my energy is this my energy, is it not my energy? You know, we don't have to go on a whole healing journey. Like, we don't have to do that. We don't have to dig up shit that we don't want to dig up, right? We just need to get curious about the stuff that is coming to the surface, the stuff that is asking you to maybe have a look at it, right? We don't need to dig it, but we want to get curious about the things that are presenting, I think.
I'll agree with you there. And it may be just a little thing, and maybe a big thing, and maybe something that you've been, you know, putting under the carpet for a while, and maybe something that you're ready to look at. But whatever the case is, what's going on for you, and if things coming up, as Em says, let's get curious about it. Let's dive in to see why am I feeling like this? What am I holding on to? Is this a past thing? Is this a generational thing? What is it? Let's get curious and just ask the questions. And by sitting in and connecting in with your heart space, hand on heart, and just breathing in and just really connecting, just go, why am I feeling this way? And it will, if you are 100% vibrated to where you are at that particular moment in your reality, it will present itself every time.
And I think the biggest thing that we have to remember is, even if someone is horrible to us or mean to us or leaves us out or whatever that is, it's never what they have done that's making you feel the way you feel. It's what you're making that mean about you. Exactly. When you feel like that. And there was a terminology that I written down, which was, nothing that you are experiencing is being caused by anything outside of you.
Exactly.
And yes, that might be the trigger. The trigger might be outside, but when you feel in, it's like, well, why am I feeling that way about what they did, you know? Yeah.
I'll agree with that. And also too, I think with people that are feeling quite overwhelmed at the moment, as Em and I are talking about today quite freely, and I think we need to jump on another episode and talk about shadow as well. A lot of that's coming through at the moment, and especially with all the planetary changes. But when you're feeling overwhelmed, if you have a to-do list, especially with mums out there, write down the first few things that you need to get done for today. Very simple. Don't worry about the rest. Whatever is on your main list of your to-do list of what you need to do, write it down and then tick it off. And if you get through those first things, go to the next three things, because you will not be in a cycle, or you will not get into that loop of going, oh my gosh, I've got to be at this meeting at 10 o'clock, and I've got to go to this other appointment at 10:30, and hang on, I've got to go to this kids appointment here. One thing at a time. And it's about, and Em and I will talk about how we set ourselves up in the morning for our day.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the 3 things a day is a good place to start. And another analogy is, if I can do it under 2 minutes, I can do it now. So like if it's literally something I can do under 2 minutes, it's like if I've got to clear that table or I've got to clear the sink or whatever that is, if it's under 2 minutes, do it now. But, you know, 3 things a day. I'm such old school. I'm laughing. I'm sitting here. I literally have a to-do pad. I am such a visual learner that I've got like literally whiteboards with post-it notes on and all that stuff. I do have all the digital stuff as well, but I like a good writing and I actually get satisfaction of crossing things off my list.
I get that. So for all of our visual people out there, it's okay.
Get these, the today things, they're great. Post-it notes are my best friend.
Whether you're writing things down, I put everything in notes and calendar, whatever you do, whatever fills your cup.
Yeah.
Don't listen to what anybody else is saying. That's another message in this. Do not listen to external opinions or judgments or what people, at the end of the day, and I'm going to bring this back in, I'm just going to go on this little tangent and come back. People are always going to be talking about us. Okay? People are always going to have their opinion. That's their stuff. So don't worry. So let's go back into, if you're a visual person, write it down. Em has even suggested to me, Michelle, get your post-it notes and put it all around the room. And I'm going to. Of what? I have no idea.
I'm going to show you. If I could show you, I've got a board here that's like.
Turn the screen around a little bit at all? Or can you?
I got it's messy over here. Hold up. I might be able to just get my board and give you.
I'm just going to.
Okay. This is like a general idea of my board. Hold up.
For all our visual people out there.
I'm just destroying. I've got a board here. It's got post-it notes all over it. But I like, my brain has to have those pieces to really get my mind to understand. And I am a very, very big visual learner. Like if you give me a workbook and it's like 50 pages, I'm not going to read it. Okay. But if you give me some post-it notes with, you know, points on it or something to listen to, like I listen to Audible a lot if I want to learn. I have all my books on Audible because I learn by listening to the story of how that's being told. And I think, like you say, everybody is very different in how they learn, and it's really important to just find what works for you as well. And I think that sometimes we can overcomplicate things. Let's be honest, going back to a pen and a piece of paper as opposed to, you know, big fancy online boards and or, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me talking about how to use but in Notion and all that crap. Like, don't even go there with me. Like, just give me a pen and a piece of paper and I'm good. Or like 20 journals, or I've got a journal for everything, but that's
okay. You do. Okay, yeah, cool. Same.
That's me. Yeah, I've got a journal for each thing that I need to do, but that works for me, and it allows my brain to like departmentalize what needs to be done, like writing down on here what the things that I need to get done, because then they're also in front of my face. And I think the biggest thing to remember is, you know, the people that are talking about you, nobody that's doing better than you is talking about you, because you're not even on their radar. They're just doing their thing. So if people are talking about you, right, they're not doing as good as you are, because if they were, you wouldn't even be in their peripheral vision,
in their vortex or whatever their case may be.
Yeah.
But knowing that we all have our thing. We all have our thing.
Yeah.
Whether you're listening to this now, and as you can see, Em and I are very tactile learners. We're visual. You may be someone, I don't know what Jen, you know, it's all about here or digital. You may be that person, but whatever works for you is you. And the more that we can tap into that is also going to strengthen our heart connection as well. And this is what it's coming back to, is strengthening our heart connection. People, I believe, used to think we were selfish. We're not selfish by listening to ourselves. because we
Yeah.
know our own answers. We knows what lights us up. We know what a fuck yes is. We know what a fuck no. And don't get me wrong, we're still learning that, and we're going to be learning that until the day we die. So getting in on this selfish, creative journey of who we are is the most important thing that we can give ourselves. You journal, not to journal, whatever works for you.
And I think it can go over everything, isn't it? You know, like everyone should have the opportunity to do the thing they want to do the way they want to do it. And there's a lot of that hierarchy of, I mean, look, you know, in the mediumship world, let's be honest, like where I am, that's exactly what it is. It's like, this is how you do that. You cannot do that this way. You are not a medium if you do this, and this. And I had a lady share with me that she worked with the animals, like the animals that had crossed, and then she would first connect with the animals and then their owners that would come in. And she was actually removed from a circle because they told her that's not real mediumship, because you have to connect straight to the human or the soul. And I it just blew me away. I was like, what do you mean? That's your uniqueness. That's what makes you, or is going to make you, the medium that people want to come and see for that. And I just don't get this hierarchy of, you know, yes, in certain spaces we need, what's the word, like standards, right? In I'm not saying that we don't need standards. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you're allowed to find that standard in your own unique way. That's my belief. And that's why when people come into my world, I'm like, okay, what's your weirdness? Because your weirdness is your uniqueness, and that's what you're going to be known for, you know.
It's funny you say that. Even stepping into the business world that I've been around for the last few years, bringing the spirituality into the business, that, you know, the people that you can sometimes work with, they have their particular way, like the mediumship world, they have their particular way, and their method and their way works for some people.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't, and that's okay. So that's where I've come into my space now, and I'm working for myself for the very first time without any staff, and I need to find what works for me and what doesn't work with me. And I'm still discovering this as we're all going along. And while I'm in creating mode, I just know that the amount of coaches that have coached me over the years, I now understand that everything comes back to you. What you may work with somebody to get some knowledge or work or whatever the case may be, but if you're not getting something returned pretty much within the first 2 to 4 weeks, it's time to move on. Even though you're putting in the work, you'll see something within 7 days, whether it's working, whether it's not. But going back into what we're talking about with these leaderships or mediumship, we just have to be and stay in our own lane and whatever works, because our people are there. Our people are there.
Yeah. And I think, you know, the point I think you're making as well is like discernment, working with people. And, you know, I always kind of say, I'm not the mentor for everyone. Like I'm not fluffy. Like I'm not, you know, I can definitely be compassionate, but I'm probably the mentor that's going to put my boot up your backside. You know what I mean? When I know that you need it, because generally I can see your potential when you can't. So I'm gonna push you, and I'm gonna, you know, it's going to be out your comfort zone, and that's okay. And that's not for everyone either. And I understand that. Like, I guess I coach like I need to be coached. I guess I always need that as well, someone to put their foot up my backside. So like I am like that as well. And I think anyone that comes and has a call with me, I always say, just have calls with a few people and just use your discernment. See who is talking a language that resonates with you, using terminology like they have the same values, they're talking into the same values that you have as well. And I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's why I've got awesome students because they are fully aligned with me in the way that I teach. Yeah.
But that's what it comes down to, people that are aligned with you. Like I know over the years when I was stepping into that side as well, I was looking at things from a different perspective. And we can talk about this on another time in the podcast, but it's about, I'm here to facilitate or guide you to where you need to go. If you're not going to put the work in, okay, well, we're not a match. If you're going to put the work in and see those light day, dark days, whatever the case may be, the triggers, but the person that we can see the light will come on board. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
We're not here to save everybody. Even like in my ceremonies facilitating, when I first, you first think that we're here to rescue everybody and save everybody and to do this and to do that. And no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
It just comes down to, if people resonate and align with you, it comes back to, we can talk about this too, vibration and matching reality. You're a match. It's a match.
Yeah. And it's a little bit like relationships, isn't it? You know, like when you meet someone, you know, there's that spark or there's something between you. It's energy. It's an energetic match. But yeah, it can all lead, and it all leads in, doesn't it, one to the other. And I think that is, you know, coming all the way full circle back to self, right? It's important for us to understand our own energy. So if we don't understand ourselves, then how can we understand others? And I think that this has been the biggest thing for me, is really coming back to myself, what my energy is, knowing who I am, and also working through the shadow parts of being able to fully step into myself as well. Because let's be honest, that's another podcast episode, being fully safe to be seen as me. And I think, you know, if we can leave a biggest takeaway is to get curious about you. Like, who are you?
Exactly.
Who are you underneath all of the hats that you wear for everyone else?
Exactly. Thank you for jumping on today, Em. I love having chats, and the more that we do these chats, the more that we'll woo. But thank you to everybody that's joined us today, and this recording will probably be up in the next week or so. And yeah, if you want to just tap in, leave a review, tap in, subscribe, we would love it. I'm going to leave all Em's details in the transcript, and much love. Thank you, Em.
Yeah.
And let's tap in soon, shall we?
Yeah, and if there's anything that you want us to chat about, yeah, leave a comment. And
please leave the comment. That's fantastic.
We'll have a chat about it. Yeah.
Well, love you. See you, everybody.
Bye.